The fluorescent lights of Save Mart hummed their usual monotone song on that unremarkable Tuesday afternoon. Maria Vasquez stood behind Register 7 with shoulders slightly hunched from the weight of a 12-hour shift. Her fingers moved across the scanner with practiced efficiency, even as exhaustion pressed against her eyelids. She had been in America for 8 months now. 8 months of learning a new language through YouTube videos after her children fell asleep. 8 months of missing her mother's voice and the smell of her grandmother's kitchen in Guatemala. 8 months of building a dream one scanned item at a time. The line moved steadily, until a woman in designer sunglasses and a pressed linen blazer wheeled her cart into Maria's lane. The woman's name was Karen Hendricks, and she wore her impatience like expensive perfume. Behind her stood a man in his mid-50s with salt and pepper hair and kind eyes that seemed to notice everything. His name was David Chen, and he carried only a basket with bread and fruit. Maria smiled warmly and greeted the woman as she had been taught. "Good afternoon. How are you today?" Her accent wrapped around the English words like a careful embrace. The woman did not respond. She began piling items onto the belt with aggressive efficiency. Organic yogurt, gluten-free crackers, a bottle of wine that cost more than Maria made in 2 days. The scanner beeped rhythmically until it reached a container of strawberries. Maria lifted it gently and scanned it twice by accident. The machine protested with an angry blip. She immediately voided the duplicate charge and apologized softly. "I am sorry. It is fixed now." Karen's head snapped up like a viper sensing movement. "What did you just do?" Her voice cut through the ambient store noise. Several customers turned their heads. Maria felt her chest tighten but kept her professional smile. "I scanned 2 times by mistake. I fix it. Is correct now." Karen's face flushed crimson. She leaned forward over the belt. "You people come here and can't even do the simplest job right. Do you even understand what I'm saying, or do I need to speak slower?" The words hit Maria like physical blows. She had heard variations of them before in parking lots and coffee shops, but never so directly, never so loud. Her hands began to tremble slightly as she continued scanning. "I understand. I am sorry. Everything is okay now." But Karen was just warming up. She raised her voice another octave, ensuring everyone within 30 feet could hear. "This is exactly what's wrong with this country. Companies hiring people who barely speak English. I work hard for my money and I have to deal with incompetence. Where's your manager? I want someone who actually belongs here." The word belongs landed like a stone in still water. Ripples of silence spread through the nearby lanes. Other cashiers froze mid-scan. Customers stopped scrolling their phones. Maria's eyes began to sting, but she blinked rapidly. She would not cry, not here, not in front of her coworkers. Not in front of this woman who seemed to feed on pain. That was when David Chen set down his basket. He had been watching the entire exchange with an expression that shifted from surprise to disappointment to something harder, something that looked like controlled fury wrapped in decades of wisdom. He stepped forward slightly and spoke in a voice that was quiet but carried the weight of mountains. "Excuse me. I couldn't help but overhear." Karen spun toward him with her arsenal of indignation fully loaded. "And who are you? This doesn't concern you." David smiled, but it was not a warm smile. It was the smile of someone who had seen this play before and knew how it ended. "Actually, it does concern me. I'm a human being standing in line. That makes it my concern. But let me introduce myself properly. My name is David Chen. I'm a linguistics professor at the State University. I speak 7 languages fluently: English, Mandarin, Spanish, French, German, Arabic, and Portuguese. Would you like me to demonstrate?" Karen's mouth opened, but no sound came out. David continued in Spanish, speaking directly to Maria. "Do not let her words define your worth. You are brave for being here. You are strong for learning a new language while working full-time. That takes more courage than she will ever understand." Maria's eyes widened. Tears finally spilled over, but now they were different tears. Someone saw her. Someone understood. David turned back to Karen and switched to English. "You know what I've learned in my 30 years of studying languages and cultures? That the people who complain the loudest about others not speaking perfect English are usually the ones who only speak one language themselves. This young woman is bilingual at minimum. That means her brain is literally more developed than yours in terms of cognitive flexibility. She's learning your language. How many languages have you bothered to learn?" Karen's face had gone from red to white. Other customers began to murmur their agreement. One woman started clapping slowly. Then another joined. Then someone else. David was not finished. He gestured toward Maria with respect. She scanned your items correctly. She fixed a simple technical error immediately. She remained professional while you verbally assaulted her. Those are signs of competence and grace under pressure. Do you know what's actually incompetent? Being so insecure in your own position in society that you need to tear down someone who's working an honest job. He paused, and his voice softened, but lost none of its power. My parents came to this country speaking no English. They worked 3 jobs between them. They face people like you every single day, and you know what they taught me. That the true measure of belonging isn't about where you were born or how you sound when you speak. It's about what you contribute. It's about how you treat others. By that measure, this cashier belongs here far more than you do. The silence that followed was deafening. Karen grabbed her purse and abandoned her cart of groceries. She fled the store without looking back. The automatic doors closed behind her like the final curtain on a one-act play nobody wanted to see again. Maria stood frozen with her hands still hovering over the scanner. David stepped forward to her register and began placing his few items on the belt. He spoke gently. I meant every word. You're doing great. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Maria's voice came out as a whisper. Thank you. Thank you so much. Nobody has ever... She couldn't finish the sentence. David paid for his groceries and then did something unexpected. He handed her a business card. If you ever want to improve your English, I teach a free conversation class for immigrants on Thursday evenings at the community center. No judgment, just practice and friendship. You'd be welcome. After David left the store, manager appeared looking flustered. He had witnessed the entire scene from the customer service desk. I am so sorry, Maria, you didn't deserve that. Are you okay? Maria nodded slowly. She looked at the business card in her hand, and then at the line of customers who were now smiling at her with warmth and encouragement. I am okay. I am better than okay. The rest of her shift passed in a blur of kind words from strangers. People who had witnessed the confrontation went out of their way to chat with her and compliment her service. An elderly man told her his own grandfather had been an immigrant. A young mother said she was learning Spanish and asked Maria to help her pronounce a few words. The community that had been silent before Karen's attack now rallied around her like a protective embrace. 3 months later, Maria stood in front of 20 other immigrants at the Thursday evening class David had mentioned. She had been attending every week. Her English had improved dramatically, but more than that, her confidence had returned. She had made friends. She had found a community. She had learned that belonging is not something given by the cruel or the prejudiced. It is something built through kindness and recognized by those who truly understand what it means to be human. David often told the story of that day to his university students as a lesson in real-world linguistics and sociology. He talked about how language is more than grammar and vocabulary. It is identity and courage and bridge building. He talked about how the people who demean others for their accents are really revealing their own fears and limitations. And Maria kept that business card in her wallet for years afterward, not because she needed the address anymore, but because it reminded her that in the darkest moments when cruelty seems to win, there are always people who will speak up. There are always people who will see your worth. There are always people who will turn weapons into armor and hate into hope. The truth is, we all have a choice in moments like these. We can be the person who tears down or the person who builds up. We can be the voice that wounds or the voice that heals. And sometimes standing up for someone else takes no more than 7 words spoken in one language. The language of human decency. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Pure Kindness Stories. Share it with someone who needs to hear that kindness still exists in this world. Because every time we choose compassion over cruelty, we make the world a little bit brighter. One word, one moment, one act of courage at a time. Thank you for watching, and remember that you have the power to be someone's David Chen today.